In the original timeline of One Piece, Ace gets turned into a donut by Akainu. But today, I asked the question, what would happen if Garp saved Ace? And honestly, I think I might have cooked on this one. That said though, a like would be very appreciated seeing as it only takes 1 second and it helps out a ton. That said, enjoy. This video was honestly inspired from watching a TikTok of Dadan questioning Garp on why he didn't save Ace. He was right there, and that truly reminded me of my first time watching Ace die. It truly hit me like a train, not only because Luffy had done so much just to get Ace free from his shackles, but because I'm an older brother too, and I would be willing to die for my younger siblings at any given moment. So watching as Ace flung his body in front of Luffy truly tugged at my heartstrings. If you didn't cry at least a little in this scene, you're low-key a monster. But jokes aside, I wondered what would change had Ace simply asked for help. So that's exactly where we're going to be picking this story off. Nothing changes up until Akainu is about to kill Luffy, and Ace would be too far away to save him. Here, Ace would scream, "Grandpa!" And in this moment, Garp would rush in to help Ace and Luffy, as Sengoku would try to stop him, but he'd be 1 millisecond too slow, and Garp in that moment blitzes Akainu and kills him with one punch, as the entire battlefield would shake from the impact of this punch, and Akainu would utter, "Traitor," in his final moments, as the battlefield stands still, and Sengoku would just stop, saying, "Damn it, Garp," as he powers up and would rush into battle Garp, as they would immediately begin to clash, and Sengoku with a heavy heart has to face off against his lifelong friend as they clash, and ultimately, after a couple of seconds, Garp lands a decisive blow, defeating Sengoku, who just really couldn't bring himself to go all out on Garp. Not that it would have mattered, since statements in the manga show that Garp is definitely stronger than Sengoku, as after this, Ace and Luffy would run away, as he would hold off the navy with the help of Whitebeard, and Ukiji and Kizaru would arrive to battle against Garp and Whitebeard, who hold them off with the help of Whitebeard's forces, as eventually Whitebeard and Garp would end up escaping with Luffy and Ace. And ultimately, I think we'd end up getting a scene in which Garp, after retreating with Whitebeard on his ship, I can see Whitebeard looking at him saying, "Goda, goda, 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 goda," as he would ask him if he regrets his decision. And Garp would say that he wasn't gonna just sit there and let them die. "What was I supposed to do, damn it?" As he looks to Ace and Luffy and says, "Listen here and listen good, you no good grandsons. Now I'm a traitor to the whole Marines, and now I have to live with that. So you're gonna live with me for a while, because I'm gonna show you hockey." As Ace and Luffy would be stunned and would have no choice but to agree, as Garp goes on to tell Whitebeard he's going to be taking the two boys to train them up, as from here, Garp would go on to train Luffy and Ace on how to use hockey, and after training with Garp, I see Luffy and Ace becoming some powerhouses, with Ace being the clear stronger of the two. But Luffy would have gotten a little better at using hockey, and ultimately, the rest of the story changes would be sort of just unclear, since everything going on from here would technically be completely fanfiction, not gonna lie. But here, my ideal scenario would be this. And before I get into it, feel free to comment any of your own suggestions on what you guys think would have actually happened down below. But here's mine. Shortly after Ace returns with Whitebeard, after having trained, he'd be made captain of the Whitebeard Pirates, since Whitebeard himself was just too old and bro was practically about to croak anyways. So as much as Whitebeard this time around would want Ace to become king of the pirates, I just don't really think that Ace would have it in him to betray Luffy like that after Luffy went through so much just to save his life. And not only that, but after he saw the determination in Luffy's eyes to truly become Pirate King, I really don't think that Ace would actually go in and actually try to do that. But I definitely do see Ace telling Luffy that he wants to become king of the pirates as well, just to give Luffy that extra push to become a powerful pirate. And so, once his training with Garp would be over, he would go out onto sea and become a Yonko very quickly with his new crew, especially since he's become extremely powerful after only training with hockey for 1.5 years. So yeah, he'd have a name made for himself, And since Blackbeard doesn't have the Gura Gura no Mi by stealing it from Whitebeard, he'd be a lot weaker this time around and not half as much of a threat. And I can definitely see Ace this time around making it his mission to kill Blackbeard, considering Blackbeard's the one responsible for putting him in Impel Down and for all of the death of so many of his crewmates that ended up taking place. I think that killing Blackbeard would be Ace's main priority, so I think he'd be taken care of in a high difficulty battle. But as for Luffy and his adventures, everything would sort of stay the same, from his battle with Hody Jones to his battle with Doflamingo and Katakuri, as well as Kaido. So we really have no choice but to jump in here and heavily speculate about what's gonna happen after this. And seeing as I really don't have too many things to go off of, I think that after this we would jump straight into the Dr. Vegapunk Island stuff. And because the manga events right now, I'm really not too sure how the story's gonna be going, I think that the best course of actions here would be a grand race to find the One Piece between the Yonkos, and the ones competing for it would be Ace, Luffy, Shanks, and even Buggy's crew, in which in this ideal battle royale, I can see Ace and Luffy's crew teaming up to defeat Buggy's crew, which has members such as Mihawk and Crocodile, as well as some other members that are going to be definitely very powerful. And here, I see the grand battle between Zoro and Mihawk going down, and obviously Luffy versus Shank with some help from Ace. But ultimately, I think Ace and Luffy would stand on top after this massive battle royale, which would be a very great one. Like, if something like this was animated, it would be insane. And I'm pretty sure that this is something along the lines of something Oda would probably end up doing in the end, obviously with Blackbeard's crew being there, since in the original Blackbeard does have the Gura Gura no Mi. Plus, in that timeline, we would also get to see Kizaru being one of the people in that final fight, which obviously this time we don't see. As well as something else that I completely forgot to mention would be, what would Garp's bounty be? And I definitely think that his bounty would be 6 billion berries for having betrayed the Marines and also having been the one to defeat Roger. That said though, after Ace and Luffy would defeat everyone else and they would stand atop, Ace and Luffy would look at each other as Luffy would smile, and immediately they would rush in, as I can definitely see Ace and Luffy going at it for a couple of minutes. But ultimately, after one final like punch clash of hockey that would literally just split the sky, I can see Ace looking at Luffy, giving him the biggest smile and telling him just how proud of Luffy he is, as he would tell him, "I'm proud of you, Luffy. Go on, become king of the pirates," as Luffy gives his iconic smile and laugh and proceeds to claim the One Piece. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be marking the end of What If Garp Saved Ace. Now, when it comes to what ifs like One Piece, it's so strange to cover these because obviously I'm not the One Piece guy, but this was just one of those videos that I felt in my heart the second that I rewatched Ace die, I literally had to do. Plus, when the idea for this thumbnail came to my head, I knew that I was gonna be a man on a mission for a bit. So I got into my room, I started scripting away, got my editor to edit this, by the way, shout out to him. And yeah, guys, let me know what you guys thought about this video down below in the comments. Let me know what other One Piece suggestions you guys have next. Maybe a video where Luffy eats a couple of different devil fruits. That would definitely be fun, considering that the One Piece what ifs are relatively very short. Plus, the One Piece timeline is very, very hard to tinker with. So with all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, Shanks for watching.